Wrestling games are always the same. Every year, it's the same exact game. They might add something, but they usually also take away a lot of stuff too. That way they can resell stuff to you through DLC. At least these days, but back then, they couldn't just take things out and resell it to you, because the PlayStation 2 wasn't exactly the time period for DLC. But anyways, one of the WWE games I remember most fondly was WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. And the reason for that was because it introduced Story Designer, allowed me to create my own stories. But the problem was, it was vastly restrictive, and also not that enjoyable, because you had to use a controller to put in text. So today we're going to take a look at the PS2 version instead of the PS3 or 360, because it's a little hard to emulate. So let's go ahead and take a look at SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 for the PS2 and see if it's any good. Right away, you're going to notice a lot of problems with the PS2 version of SVR10. For example, long load times, horrible looking graphics, even the UI has this weird lack of detail and anti-aliasing. And also the UI and the screen in general has this weird tithering, like it's tearing, it's like twitching. So you're gonna have to get used to the UI constantly shaking. I don't know if this is an emulation issue or if the fact that this is just how it normally worked on the native PS2. Maybe it is normal, and if that's the case, you're gonna wanna emulate this with a CRT TV, because watching this on a more modern display is awful, which is probably the norm with all old games. Anyways, outside of these technical shortcomings, you're also going to notice issues with constantly having to save. Every little thing you do, you have to save to the memory card, and it takes forever to save, it takes forever to load. It takes forever to load into different parts of the game, like loading the matches, loading the next entrance, loading the create an entrance, loading story designer scenes takes forever. And creating your characters, your superstars, your divas is vastly restrictive. There's very few options to create anything anymore. Now, compared to the PS3 and 360 versions, which I did play when I was younger, there is very little content here. You really cannot create anything in this version. Hell, I'm having a hard enough time trying to recreate my favorite YouTubers. I mean, look at Mac McMuscles. Doesn't look like him at all. It's barely passable. Looks like Wish.com Matt McMuscles. What happened? Yeah. I also made Maximilian Dude, so that way they can have their own tag team. But anyways, outside of the restrictive, lackluster, create a superstar and diva, you also have create a finisher, which is dumb. Creative moveset, so that way you can assign movesets to all the different characters, including your own created ones. Then you have create an entrance, so that way you can have your own entrance for your superstars. You can do it in easy, where you just choose which one you want, or you can do a more advanced, where you choose everything scene by scene and put in more depth to it. And outside that, you still got the traditional matches and everything, like the one-on-one, tag team, fatal, 4 and everything, Battle Royale, Royal Rumble. You have Road to WrestleMania, you have career mode. Those two aren't that good. I never really care for it. The only thing I want to do in these games is create characters and have them beat the crap out of each other. I think that's what a lot of people do. As for the combat, movement, and overall feel for the game, it's a little mixed. It took some getting used to, but once I did, I found it actually very enjoyable and easy to use, though I still couldn't figure out how to pick up weapons and everything. But still, it plays good, especially when pulling off all the grapples. It's a weird combination with the controller buttons, using the right analog stick and also the bumper buttons, the R1 and L1 and stuff like that, in different directions and combinations to pull off different moves. It takes some getting used to the old school combat, but in the end, it's good. Overall, this is a pretty fun game, and I do recommend it, but just know that it has a lot of technical hiccups for the PS2 version. It comes with a lackluster create a wrestler options and everything, and also you can only save up to 30 created wrestlers. So that means superstars and divas. You can only have 30, which sucks because that gets in the way of the Royal Rumble, where you want to have all your created characters in the Royal Rumble, because there's a 10-man, 20-man, and 30-man Royal Rumble. Oh well. Anyways, that's it. See ya.
I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown.